She didn't try to so just to get along, have enough to eat. She was careful, very careful. And there was a sister, Clara.
Yes, I am.
Oh, Sharon, I'm so glad. I'm calling you actually with a group of people. You can see our website at 5050now.wordpress.com. Do you have access to the web while you're talking with us?
No. So can you give me a little more information about what you need?
Sure. I definitely want to. We are focusing on two areas of question with regard to your resources. One is the area of breastfeeding and family life education, and the other is breastfeeding, and the other is with regard to the utilization of renewable and particularly solar energy. And these are actually related. You can read our website at 5050now.wordpress.com. If you don't have access to it now, you can look at it when you go home. And I'm calling you at a very marvelous, miraculous virtual place that is, as you see the website, you'll see it. It's our great and grandmother's home that they ran a hat store from for about 3 decades in the heartland, actually in Chicago. We are gathering there virtually, traveling back in time and literally delivering the greatest gift to all humanity, which is a return to the way of an egalitarian culture, which was the longest survived culture on the face of planet Earth. Our archaeologists now know about Atlantis, or it was later on called the Minoan civilization, but it was during its time it was called Atlantis. And it was egalitarian. The laws were made by women equally with men, and they were not just made by men. They were made by they had to assure that the women were fully represented in making the laws, and their society was very good for children and for women, obviously, and for men too. And the men were great seafarers. They had a very wide reach, and the society was very successful for about 3,000 years. And then they started allowing themselves, I guess, it's very confused what happened here. They started to allow themselves into the patriarchal mode. And then there was a huge volcanic eruption, the largest one that ever took place on the planet Earth. It took place in an island called Thera, or now it's called Santorini.
Well, what is your question?
Well, so we are here. Let me just tell you who's on the line with us: Barbara, Julianne Marie, Marion, Susan, Jennifer, and a lot more, and also Anna Marie, Patricia, Native American women who've been working with us, and also remembering here at this place that was run by Sarah Harriet and Ray and Sarah Harriet with Clara gathered here, and Jacqueline and President Rosemary, Marie, Grandma Papa. We have our young people too.
I have a lot of customers.
All right. Well, we've got several young people here who want to start off their lives correctly and know about breastfeeding and family life education. Hadass, Vanessa, Soma, Rachel Marie, Daniel, Juliet, Susan,
Your zip code, please?
and Yeshai. We have some boys, young men too. Yeshai, Harlan Lewis of Is, and Ross and Marcel. And so our zip code is we have Barbara and Rachel Marie and Daniel Juliet are right there near you in Ohio. I don't have their zip code right in front of me, and we're kind of honoring them with this call. But can you tell us what you have, and go to our website and read the New Millennial Golden Rule, and you see it's a complete paradigm shift that has government based in the neighborhood.
Are you in there?
I'm sorry?
What city are you in?
Well, they're near Oberlin. That's not like your area, but there's a lot of big universities, and we know you're near Lawrence University, correct?
No.
You're not near Lawrence. What's the university near you there?
We are in Cleveland, Ohio. So there's
Cleveland. So you have Miami of Ohio and many others.
Okay.
Some of us almost went to Miami of Ohio.
You're trying to look for breastfeeding?
Breastfeeding information, yes. Julianne Marie almost went to Miami of Ohio. It's one of the places when she was a young woman. But then they didn't have any information about breastfeeding, although she did do breastfeeding. But a lot of the people don't know.
Telephone number, okay?
I'm sorry?
I'll give you a telephone number.
Okay, that'd be great.
Education on breastfeeding.
Right.
Okay, and that telephone number is 330 668 4858.
All right.
And then there's also a national number, and that number is 1-800.
All right.
524. 525. 3243.
All right, excellent. And now the other question is, I'm calling you where I'm from is Maryland. Maryland is already using one of the components of the new Money-Woven Rule, which is the Patriarchy, Genuine Progress Indicator, and Circle Process.
I'm sorry.
It's called the, no, I need to ask you about what you have there on the Genuine Progress Indicator. Does your Department of Natural Resources have anything about the Genuine Progress Indicator? The state of Maryland and state of Washington are using that already.
No, I don't see that in my database.
All right. Well, then you can go to the state of Maryland and state of Washington, and there's lots of websites, including ours, 50/50 now, WordPress.com, that talk about the Genuine Progress Indicator, so we can pull ourselves out of global warming and the destruction of the planet that we're doing, and have people who. Now, are you familiar with breastfeeding at all as an area? Are you familiar with what's being taught about this around the world?
All I'm familiar with is what's in my database. And ma'am, I'll have to go now because, like I said, I have.
Well, Sharon, darling, don't make yourself into a drone and a cog in the wheel.
Okay.
All right, and we bless you and all your family, your Shekinahs, your women and your young people, females and males, and your great and grandmothers, and we deliver parity, past, present, and future, going back in time, because if you think about the world as it would have been, had we all grown up in Atlantis, started out that way, then we can not only make our world thrive, but literally open the stargates. Our family is connected to the Stargate family of some very famous people in astronomy.
Okay.
And so go to our website when you get home. Will you do that, dear?
I will. I certainly will. And
excellent. All right. Bless you, dear. Every blessing. Thank you. Okay. Okay, there's another one. She'll go to the website. And by the way, a couple more people that I spoke with in the wee hours today told me to put their names on the website. A couple more people actually in the Heartland area too. They told me to put their names on the website, and some of them said, well, you did already, because I had spoken with some of these people before, and they said, yeah, you did, and in fact, I did already. So they really wanted to be on. They want to be on. So why is it your names are on there and you don't want to code broadcast? What's going on here? I'll tell you what's going on here. Couple of things. One is just conventionality, and that's keeping your minds from thinking. Two is low self-esteem among women. They don't want to think of themselves in a leadership role. They're not used to it. They think some maybe man or maybe even their mother or sister or someone wouldn't approve, and they're supposed to be quiet and just let the old men do what they're going to do and just wait and hope and wait and hope. And then there's another reason. Some of you might resent me when women have low self-esteem. When someone rises and says, you know, here's what we need to do, instead of going along and forming a team, they run the other way because they're not used to their own empowerment, and so they can't quite grasp there's another, that a woman could actually say, well, this is what we need to do. And they don't want to give a woman that role. Now, you have internalized patriarchy, or you wouldn't have hesitated this long in coming to this line. So we want you to do so, and we know you will. And we have to do this in honor of not all of our younger people. You know, lots of people think that global warming is something that's going to primarily affect younger people. Our younger people are being affected right now by what's going wrong in this culture. We have a lot of young people who are bullied in their schools, in their homes, in their families. We have a lot of isolated young people. That's going on in our family. It's going on in all of our family because you mothers are not gathering. And we have a number of young people who are showing all kinds of stress-related illness, which is occurring to some of the young people in our family. And I want to say very specifically to Hadass and Hallelujah, and maybe some more of you, you're having gastrointestinal issues because your culture is making you sick. That is the primary reason. You may have some genetic predisposition, but it wouldn't have shown up had your culture been a healthier culture and you getting more family circle interaction and life support from both genders. So It's in your interest to learn and deliver the new millennial golden rule. If you're seeing doctors, any of you, and I mean the mothers too, we have some mothers on our family tree who are suffering. Mary has migraines. Batya has migraines. We know that Georgine likely is taking medication. We've got a huge problem with older people on medication in this culture. And that is one of the, and we know that Jacqueline is suffering Alzheimer's because she's trying to fit into a patriarchal pattern and forget what she is doing on a day-to-day basis, which she knows at some level is not right. So patriarchy forces people into hypocrisy with regard to the new millennial, with regard to the concept of the golden rule. It forces them to look upon women as lessers. It forces them to accept dictates from older men that maybe make no sense at all and are profoundly destructive, not only to other people, but even to the older men themselves. But they're so caught in that pattern that they keep going along with it. Now you have to wake up. You have the new millennial golden rule to deliver. You have the kitty skits. You have the 11 steps. The 11 steps are very well spelled out. Give that to everyone. That is important. Do it. Stop hesitating and start coming and doing our broadcast together. I'm happy to speak for you. I use all your names. They all think that you're speaking through me. I'm your representative. I'm happy to do it. That's what you've given me to do. I'm doing it. You're being represented by me. But the fact that you don't empower yourself is taking a toll on all of you. It really is now. And I really believe, I want to be honest with you, if we don't have our act together within a matter of days, in my opinion, you're going to start seeing major, horrible impacts on the level of health of not only the young people, but on some of the adult women. Okay? Now that's what you're doing by holding back from each other. You're harming each other. And it also will take a toll on some of the kinder men of this society. You're going to see that happen too. Some of these guys that you've been waiting to save you, they're going to start dropping like flies, the older men who are kinder. Because they can't do much without full involvement of women. They have among them sociopathic men. And those women are being promoted by ditzy women. Do you understand this? Women who think that tokenism is gradualism or don't want even women involved at all. Either one is dangerous. Tokenism is just as dangerous. As Gina Davis quoted Martin Luther King, do not take the tranquilizing drug of gradualism. Well, you've been taking that drug for about over 25 years. Your society is in a shambles. Will you wake up? Okay, I know you're very, very gifted. Each and every one of you is a goddess. Your abilities are without dispute. It's just that you don't share them. So I'm sharing them. You have to come share with me each other. The lady's name was Sharon. It was perfect metaphor for what is needed here. Okay, and she said she would go to the website, and I believe she will. Now, have you? Why don't we hear from you about it? When did you last visit that website? When did you read it? What did you read? Why aren't we talking about it? Why aren't we talking about all the links that are on there? It's not just my work. There's a lot of other people who put in thousands and millions of hours over time, over centuries. And you're ignoring them all. Don't do that. And they're related to our family. So we have a great genealogy and we have a great given high intelligence in our family. If we don't use it, that's a terrible waste. And God will say, well, these people just didn't get what life was all about, and I don't know why I bothered to keep them incarnated. I don't know why. So, you don't convince God that you don't care about anything. Not a way to go about things. I love you, and you call me 24/7. And don't you worry, please. And let me just show you. Here is the marvelous, miraculous. We'll do the ceremony in a little bit. We already did it in a wee hours broadcast. And here is the marvelous, miraculous milk. Let me show you this. And I did all this with the store. Not the store, the home. that was the hat store that has our solar powered panels on and everything on the screen. And here now you're looking at me. Gathering place. It's a virtual gathering place. And here is the this milk. Marvelous miraculous milk. And the marvelous miraculous, there it is. Marvelous miraculous milk, the marvelous miraculous heart light with the pictures on it. And the marvelous miraculous budding blooming flowers, and they are so marvelous and miraculous, and you are, and you don't treat each other that way. Why don't you? Why don't you treat each other as marvelous and miraculous? This is not an ego thing for me. This is to help save our planet, and each and one of you is a universe. You're all marvelous, miraculous. Did I say Georgine? I want to say Julia Marie, Victoria, Marianne, and Barbara, and Cheryl, and all of you are so marvelous, miraculous. Why don't we hear from you? Okay, and Susan, Jennifer, all of them. I'm going to make some calls to make sure I reach the people in Israel today. Okay, and here's the cakes with the world globes on them. Okay, so Donnie Aurora, please, and Maria Rainbow Sweetheart, and Donnie Aurora, please say hi and hugs to Heather and Jam and Heather. And on behalf of Whiskers and Tiger and Holly and Tiger and Whiskers and Buttermilk and Blackie and Buttermilk, Felicity and Felix and all the fauna, butterflies, birds, and bees, and the 2 white dogs, very gentle, female and male, and all the people too of our local, global, universal neighborhoods, past, present, future, as Equinox, QQs, Co-Secretary Generals, Co-Secretaries. You all are, and your names are there, and people are looking at them. Now you need to rise to the occasion. I love you. Every blessing.
You saved this message. Your greeting has been saved. To change extension type, press.
Okay, now we'll do our ceremony. The light is on in all our hearts. We have with us marvelous, miraculous, budding, blooming flowers and water. Hugs and love to all, both and each and every one as soon as possible. The light is on in all our hearts. We have with us marvelous, miraculous, budding, blooming flowers and water. Hugs and love to all, both and each and every one as soon as possible. And we'll say, Namaste. We'll say, Namaste. Mitakuye Oyosin. Mitakuye Koseveral. Kongs Pax, Co-Impax Culture. Tubes Sedleric Tubes. Bahaval Chaim Shalom Salam, Salam Shalom. Mir Pachi, Pache Mir. Merci. Buenos dias. Ubuntu. Shlanzavad. Ciao. Chinque. Chop Chop. Sayonara. Good day and cheerio. And we'll also say, love and live eternally longest and prosper all, both in each and every one, as Equinox QQs, Co-Secretary Generals, Co-Secretaries. Let me say that again. Love and live eternally young, longest, and prosper all, both in each and every one. Past, present, future is Equinox QQs, Co-Secretary Generals, Co-Secretaries. And we'll drink the milk of human kindness for all, both and each and every one. As Equinox QQs, Co-Secretary Generals, Co-Secretaries, and starting with the importance of 2 to 3 years on-cue breastfeeding for every holy baby girl and holy baby boy, past, present, future, as Equinox QQs, Co-Secretary Generals, Co-Secretaries. And we'll say, love and live eternally young, prosper, and enjoy the milk of human kindness and share it at all stages of our becoming eternally young, young adult risen lives. As Equinox True Q's Co-Secretary General's Co-SZPCIALL. And I drink on behalf of all, both and each and everyone, and represent all, both and each and everyone as soon as possible as Equinox True Q's Co-Secretary General's Co-SZPCIALL. And we'll share the elixirs that are our Purim and our Passover elixirs, our Earthsz and SZTATE. That is Earthsz, because we're connecting Queen Esther's story where it should be connected, to Atlantis. They had 50-50, so let's connect the Queen Esther offer and let her take up on it with all of her female, at that time, slaves like we are right now. And let's also take the up on the notion of a promised land of Passover and of eternal life of Earthsz, and put all these promises together and make them so via the New Millennial Golden Rule. We drink on behalf of all, both and each and everyone, and also connecting the Soma of the Vedic ceremonies with the Entheons of the Eleusinian mysteries. We know that these sacraments are not more sacramental than milk, so we include the milk also, and we drink on behalf of all, both and each and everyone, and representing all, both and each and everyone as soon as possible. As Equinox True Q's Co-Secretary General's Co-SZPCIALL. And we'll drink the water of loving, living planets that will reclaim and sustain our planet Earth to be and all our Earths, past, present, future, as Equinox True Q's Co-Secretary General's Co-SZPCIALL. And we'll celebrate and re-celebrate all our birthdays, conception days, name days, and holy days, past, present, future, at Equinox True Q's Co-Secretary General's Co-SZPCIALL, starting with our Shekinahs, all our Shekinahs, past, present, future, and then all of our young people, past, present, future, but especially here, those we know of and love so much, and must love so much. If we are adult human beings, we're supposed to look out for next generations, and they also are supposed to express their genius to us. And we so include also our young peoples, females and males, age 37 and thereabouts and younger, past, present, future, as Equinox True Q's Co-Secretary General's Co-SZPCIALL. And we'll also say it again this way: we'll celebrate and re-celebrate all our birthdays, conception days, name days, and holy days, past, present, future, as Equinox True Q's Co-Secretary General's Co-SZPCIALL. Okay, and now we'll include our Passover cookie and our Purim cookie and our Passover wafer, the promise of 50-50 made round and holy and true, and the promise of a promised land, blessed by the Mother, Father, Goddess, God. Let's not leave out the Mother this time. And we do this, and we put them together, and we come up with the New Millennial Golden Rule, and loving, living, youthful, eternal life on this and all our planets. We fulfill the promises, and we become risen human beings, divine, more divine, Equinox True Q's. And we become the risen females and the risen males, past, present, future, as Equinox True Q's Co-Secretary General's Co-SZPCIALL. And we also bring forth the eggs of egalitarian culture. That's us. We all have the X chromosome in us. We all have the egg in us. Men do too. Women have twice as much. But that's pretty important. And the men need to be happy about it, not taking advantage of it. That's the difference. If you value something, you don't take advantage of it. You learn from it. Okay, so we have our 3 bonobo women. They anoint one another as goddesses, recognizing that the great goddess is always watching. She's the yin aspect of the universe. And the father aspect, the male yang aspect, loves the yin. Doesn't think it's less than him. He doesn't think it's lesser. He thinks he needs it. Okay. And so we'll celebrate as one another as goddesses in a circle, and then bring forth more women, optimally 7 to 11, and then bring forth 2 younger women, and 2 younger men, age 37 thereabouts and younger, and anoint them all as, with us, apotheoses, immortal beings, equinox QQs, co-secretary generals, co-divas. This is the Eleusinian mysteries revealed. This is the secret of all the ages. It's just anthropology, and we have the social science to tell us now that that's the truth. So let's just do it. Let's just do it, okay? Let go of Daddy long enough so you can save Daddy. Daddy's killing himself off. He's like a dinosaur causing his own death. Can you please give him a break and take the reins for a while? Okay, and we'll also celebrate that when we do that, egalitarian relationships are easier for women. They respect each other more. They listen to one each other more. They don't say, well, I want this and I want this, and never the twain shall meet. They learn to act as a team, bring forth other people to act as a team. And the same is true with sister gazinas and cousin brothers, females and males. Everybody is all related. We're all at least 50th kazina and 50th cousin from everyone else. So when we come together in that way, mutually over, without domination, submission, or relation to gender. That is very, very important. Now, some people are a little bit more outspoken than others. Some people are a little bit more assertive than others. The name of the game is to not get caught in a pattern where one person is asserting and the other person is just yielding all the time. That is dangerous to both people. So you have to get some balance. And then, and best optimally around 50% balance. And especially the women on nurturing activities, the men on spatial and direct quick action activities, the women on longer term action activities, discuss them together. And you can come up with the best arrangements in decision making. And the same is true of egalitarian marriage. We cannot have a marriage without balance of love and work in this society. That means that what we've done to the society is a crime. We've created a great sin here in North America without a balance of love and work. We have to fix it. And because we have good models all around the world, they're doing the right way. It's we who are not. And so let's fix that. And we also, it then gives forth egalitarian relationships between men. That is, relationships where men have give and take, where they don't automatically fall in lockstep behind one super father figure, no matter how insane he is. This happened with Ronald Reagan. In the 1980s, the people had an excellent ticket of Geraldine Ferraro and Walter Mondale. Who did they pick? They picked George Bush Sr. and Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan abolished the Fairness Doctrine, and the world has been in the dark ever since, because our media has stopped functioning fairly. So you've had since 1984, in a way, George Orwell's 1984 came true in its worst aspect with regard to the media. That is what happened. And they're trying to do the same thing to the internet. And as soon as they try to do that with the internet, if they succeed on the internet, God will blot out life on this planet. It'll be over. The fact that this is being allowed in so many places around the world, like China and Iran and so forth, that block internet sites, is so serious. You have no idea how serious that is and an impact. You cannot allow governments to do that, and you should be all saying that if they do that, they might as well write their own, these old men are writing their own suicide note. They're like dinosaurs killing themselves off. And the women who go along with it are just as much dinosaurs. Animal Farm. So let's not have that. Let's have egalitarian relationships among men too, where one does not try to intimidate each other by force and fear. And let's have the importance of the balance of yin and yang in each person. And we need a lot of courage right now because we're going way haywire. And we also need a lot of nurturing because we're way way higher on that. And how you see that? You see that what I see in my family. The women are not talking. They're so lacking in nurturing they can't say a sentence to each other. And women, don't blame yourselves. This is a kind of a complicated mess. So don't blame yourself too hard. This is not about blame. This is about accountability, which is different than blame. Accountability means you have to change. Blame just says you're a fuck up and write you off. No, we're looking for transformation and accountability. And put the balance of yin and yang in each person. Crediting the women with a little bit more toward the yang, the yin, but giving them a little bit more toward the yang, and just the opposite for most men. Increasing their yin and helping them put their yang into a circle context instead of individualistic egoism. And we'll also get on our conference line. Okay, we're on our conference line now. Now we do our kisses of our consciousness currencies. You know about that by now. We do these ceremonies every day because we feel that the universe is watching, and even though I'm not gathering you, and it's also watching for that, at least the universe knows that somebody, at least intellectually, figured out the puzzle. And that's some credit for humanity. I don't know how much, but something. And who are these people? Of course, yes, we said we're at the 50/50 now, the WordPress.com website. These are my most closely related genealogical family. My immediate family, those raised by my parents and our shared great and grandparents. Also, the extended horizontal family tree that makes a circle. And we start with our Shekinahs of past generations. We include our Shekinahs of current generations of all ages, but particularly focusing on mature women, age 38 or so and over, and also our younger people, age around 37 and younger, past, present, future, as equinox, and these are Shekinahs and Hekinahs of the Margalian, Feldmarian circle, which includes Adelian, Wienerian, Adelian, Goldenbergian, Silver Golden Kindian, Zalkindian, and Yanser-Slavian, that's Anna Marie singing cricket, well, let's say Cherokee, Cheyenne, Blackfoot, and more, Mapatricia and Anna Marie and Marie and their family, and that includes that family, and also Herzogian, Hurstian, and Sweeten and Saganin. Okay, and we're including you all. We're all related. And so again, we'll do our kisses. And my nearest branches of family, this is the Margolian, Silver Golden Kindian, Dalkindian, and Feldmarian, and Adelian family, and there's some others connected to the Adelian family whose names we need to know too. In fact, I'm going to add some surnames for the Adelian family. Let's call it the Mirabellian and Adelian family. Mirabellian and Adelian family. Okay. And say we'll start fresh. We'll pick Parity Paradise on this and all our planets, and we'll say no more to patriarchal planetocide, past, present, future. As Equinox True Q's Co-Secretary General's Co-Savior's, we will pick Parity Paradise on this and all our planets. And we'll say supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, all the blessings and all the greetings of all the heritages of our Earth and our Earth's past, present, future, as Equinox True Q's Co-Secretary General's Co-Savior's. And we'll say supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, all the blessings and all the greetings of all the heritages of our Earth and our Earth's past, present, future, as Equinox True Q's Co-Secretary General's Co-Savior's. And let's see if we can do a couple more, a large group. I'm so glad. Laura, I'm actually on the phone with you with a number of people. We're a circle of people. We call ourselves Co-Secretary Generals, Co-Severas, Equinox True Qs, and you can read about it at 5050now.wordpress.com. And we are interested in providing as well as learning information. You can read about that. Do you have access to the web, or is your database just closed off to what you're allowed to look at on the database?
It's that which I can't access on the database.
All right, dear. Well, when you go home, go to our website. It's 5050, you know, is the numbers, 5050. And like we like to say, five circle, now, now.wordpress.com. And I'm on the phone with descendants of an interrelated family gathered in a very virtuous place on our website called the, what we'd like to call Atlantis Risen, because we are advocates for an egalitarian society where women are equal in decision-making as men, and the activities of both females and males are fully valued. And so we are here remembering it's Harriet and Ray. They sponsored this place that for 3 decades gathered women during the 20s, 30s, and 40s. And we're calling you there in Finger Lakes for a specific reason, that we want to find out a couple of different related questions. And I'll tell you that you can also see the names of all the people who are here with me. We're also including a lot of other great grandmothers: Antoinette, Precious Antoinette, Risen Rose, Grandmarie, we have Popper, Lynn, and Rachel. But also we have Marion and Julia Marie and Victoria and Marie and Ma Patricia, Singing Crickets and Sunflowers, Native American Heritage Mixture Women, and Barbara and Marion and Victoria and Georgine and Susan and Barbara and Donna, Diana soon, and Jacqueline and more, and many, many more. And we also have a younger generation of people with us too, Hadass and Rachel Marie, Daniel, Juliette, Stacy, Anastasia, Soma, Vanessa, Harlan, and we have some more young women, Susan's children, Elisa and Hillel, and Rebecca and Sandra, and Sarah, Abby and Sarah, and more. And we have some young men with us too who are wise enough to know the importance of women's co-leadership, and that is Yishai and Harlan Lusaviz, and Marcel and Ross and Marcel, and Harlan Lusaviz and Yishai. And we have 3 related questions for you, and you can look at our website that we have great discussion of these areas on our website. One is, what do you have in your region to help people identify the fact that our media is controlled by a small group of old men in boardroom corporations, and that there are no women on these boards, almost none, and that they have excised the information that would have told everyone that billions of people right now on this planet are living with gender parity, but we have a representation level that has now dipped below Pakistan and is equivalent to that of Kuwait. What do you have in the way of media watchdog area organizations there?
Media watchdog.
And it's so important in Finger Lakes because are you familiar with the Her history of the Seneca Falls Convention of July of 1848?
No.
All right. Well, dear, you can read about it on our website. It's all over the internet. Elizabeth Cady Stanton and her sister Harriet and about 400 other people. It was about 300 women and 100 men, including Frederick Douglass of Maryland, where I'm calling from, and there were other people too, and Elizabeth Cady Stanton's cousin, Garrett Smith, and others, gathered to insist on the votes for women. They did not have the votes, as you know, in 1848, because in 1776, the document that founded the country was ignored. That was Common Sense, written by the family of Miriam Lambert and Tom Lambert Payne, was ignored in favor of the Declaration of Independence, which was written by slave owners whose wives were not there for the signing. And none of their women were there for the signing. It was signed all by men. Also missing were indigenous people. There were no Native Americans, and there were no people of color, because their document said all men were created equal, but in the back rooms they decided to allow slavery. So in 1848, there's the boardrooms, just like now, our media, controlled by the same type of folks. And the media, the women were missing. And then the press sold this as a great thing. We separated from England, we ended monarchy. Well, we kind of ended monarchy, but we put in its place a club, a country club of plantation owners and big business owners who were all men, all white men. And so 1848 was meant to be a corrective for that, but then, also there was working with them was Susan B. Anthony and Lucretia Mott and a lot of other famous American women from your region. And also your region is where the Miriam Lambert Payne family lived in New York, and also the place where the Mother's Day declaration was given by Julia Ward Howe to call for a government of women. She asked for a Congress of women so that we wouldn't have the Civil War again. She was in the aftermath of the Civil War. She saw how many men got killed because of fighting over slavery that she said never would have happened had women been involved in the government. So we have the same situation occurring right now. And we're wondering what you have in the way of the media watchdog organizations there that are on your database.
And so for our database, what we have is health and human services.
All right, dear. Well, that's very important, but it cannot function well without democracy. So when you go home, I know you probably don't have access to the website on your desktop there, because the way not only our corporations but our governments have started to function is they treat people like you like cogs in a wheel, and you're not supposed to know anything and look anything up during the day. You're just supposed to keep to the straight and narrow and just do what's in your job description. But really, you need, when you go home, go to 5050now.wordpress.com, and you'll find also literally hundreds of links to people who are trying to wake North Americans up to the fact that our media has been profoundly, tightly controlled. Since we ignored the Beijing Conference for Women in 1995, and even a little bit before then, it really happened under the Reagan-Bush era when they eliminated the fairness doctrine affecting television. And so since then, we've all been lied to for 25 years. And a lot of people don't know what we have delivered in our New Millennial Golden Rule has components that are already existing for billions of people around the world outside of North America. The Panchayat Raj, 500 million women and men in India make their decisions together in every village. It was the fulfillment of Kasturba Kapadia and Mahatma Gandhi's dream, put in place by Sonia and Rajiv Gandhi. We never heard about it on our media. 500 people living under gender parity in every village, every neighborhood there in the rural areas, and no word about it here. Then we also have the Genuine Progress Indicator, which I'm calling you from Maryland. We use that officially here in Maryland, and so does the state of Washington, but you wouldn't know that because our media doesn't cover it. It is on our state website. They have some intelligent people in the state of Maryland government, or did for a while at least, and especially under the previous governor, and they founded the use of the Genuine Progress Indicator, which is an economic paradigm shift that counts all the work that people do, including unpaid work, which has to do with what's exactly what you're delivering information about, the caring of family and children and mothers.
Ma'am?
Yes.
I do apologize, but because this is a 211 and a crisis line as well.
Well, dear, we consider you in crisis. We don't want an environmental catastrophe because of people like you being droned. So we want to make sure that you know we're having a silent crisis here. It's a crisis of silence going on in North America. And the other thing we wanted to ask you about is what do you have in the way of these two questions? What do you have in the way of on-cue breastfeeding, the optimal way of breastfeeding, natural breastfeeding, what do you have in the database, and also about solar and renewable energy, which is all discussed in our New Millennial Golden Rule on our website, and how people can gather in circles to discuss this. Can you look up what you have on-cue breastfeeding?
So what we have would be local agencies. And so what I have to do, because I do have to take calls from suicidal callers, I do have to disconnect the calls.
Oh, I didn't realize. I thought this was an information line. But we don't want, a lot of people could be coming in our society very despairing because the media is so controlled. So when you get off of this phone call, you learned a lot, didn't you, just now? You make sure to tell everybody, because you're going to prevent suicides that way. Okay, will you do that? Did she get off already? Well, my darlings, there you have it. There you have it. These people think they're going to prevent suicides, but they're not going to be able to prevent the global suicide. Now, I'm very concerned about members of our own family, and the fact that that name came up, maybe it needs to be spoken here, and I'll make sure the mothers hear this. We may have several young people in our family who are suicidal. Okay, I haven't been using that word, but we may have several who are suicidal because their mothers will not talk. Now, I want to make clear that you ladies have been doing something that is illegitimate, and I hope you're listening to this too, even, and this line is especially for you. You've been doing something that's unethical. And now, I was reading about the myth of Medea. Medea is a transformation of the word media, isn't it? When the media doesn't work, women can become like Medea. The Medea story, as it was told, and there's many variations about Medea. She was considered a goddess in some, and some she was considered a mortal. It depends on who you read and when, at what point in the Greek times. She was the wife of Jason, who was known for his adventure to find the golden fleece, which is really the golden rule. But they thought of it in terms of something that was hanging on a tree. Well, the golden fleece is your genealogy, in fact. It is your tree. That's the golden fleece. Knowing the values of both the women and the men of your family is the golden fleece. But our family hasn't been doing it. So he went and got this hanging thing of a ram that was a golden fleece. And he was assisted by this by Medea, who was his wife, who was, get this, she was the niece of Circe, who was the wife, who was the sister of Pasiphae, who was the queen of Atlantis. Okay, of the Minoan civilization, later on called that. And Pasiphae was the wife. So Medea was the niece of the lost Atlantis. Okay, and when Jason did this, and he had a lot of help from her in doing it, she gave him some very great blessings, and the way it was written up is that she had magical powers, and she made it possible for him to do what he did. And then, after he got all his fame and fortune from doing this, he ditched her. She had had some children with him, and depending on what the story is, some of them died in an accident. Depending on who tells the story, the children died in an accident. 2 of them, not all of them, but some of them died in an accident, or according to a later telling in the Greek stories, she killed them. She killed her children. Why did she do that? Because Jason had thrown her over and had no willingness to recognize what she had done for him. And she was so despondent that she took it out on her children, because they were Jason's children. She, in a sense, took it out on Jason through his children. Now that's crazy, but that's kind of what's going on in North America. A lot of the women are taking out their upset and their internalized patriarchal submission, domination, conflict on their children. Your mothers are doing that. That's exactly what Marion and Julianne Marie and Georgine and other members of this family and community are doing to you kids. It is what Meredith is doing towards Soma, and it is what all of them are doing until they start to talk to me. Now, you kids are in danger, and I want to be not kidding about this anymore. There's at least several of you, more than 2, who I think are in danger of suicide, or a what seems like an accident, but could also be cumulative lack of proper medical care that deals with mind and body and social interaction. Now, you kids cannot afford to say to the Mother, Father, God, for my lousy old men and my stupidified mothers who have been watching television, I'm going to take my life or let my life be taken by some idiots. You are, and mothers, I hope you're hearing this. I'm talking to your children. You are creations of great care by the Mother, Father, Goddess, God, and so are your mothers. And what you need to help your mothers to do is understand that they do have the mindset of Medea right now. Another word for this is Munchausen's by proxy. They're killing off their next generations because rather than gather and discuss the fact that they could be right now full co-leaders without any election process going through any party, no political party, nothing is needed. All you need to do is follow the New Millennial Golden Rule in your neighborhood, share it with other people, and come to a gathering of women, at least 3 women, and discuss it. And then start gathering more women, and then gather the younger people, females and males, with us. Children, if your mothers will not do it, then you find some stranger woman. Like I'm finding, these women are not really strangers. They're just more distant cousins and cousins. We know that everyone on Earth is at most 50th cousina and 50th cousin from everybody else. So find any woman and call her with me. That will take you out of the danger that your parents and grandparents' generations are putting you in. You have an ethical obligation to protect yourselves. That ethical obligation goes to the Mother, Father, Goddess, God, and it is bigger and wider than your parents, or your mother, or your father, or any major parental type figure in your life. Your obligation, your first obligation, is to the Mother, Father, Goddess, God, who created you. That doesn't mean that you should ignore your mothers as human beings. Your mothers are precious human beings, and they don't know their own goddesshood. Just like Medea, in the later telling, she was denied her goddesshood. You know, they made her into a mortal. She started out as a goddess, then they demoted her. Because that's what the patriarchalization of Atlantis becoming the later Mycenaean and the Hellenic Greeks did. They demoted the women. Okay? That's what's going on in our society. Now, where do you see this kind of process occurring very widespread? Well, you see it in the Middle East. You see it with Syria and Iran and Iraq. You see it with ISIS, which is a goddess name that has been taken up by a terrorist organization. You see it in Sharia law. You see it in the allowing of polygamy. You see it in, and there are some groups in the United States who want to do that. You see that, and I can tell you, in a primitive time, that might have sort of kind of have worked for a little while. In our time, it is a absolute extinction scenario for this planet. If women do not evolve to be thinking and co-leading creatures with men who want them that way, if men do not evolve to call for that, ask for that, and demand it as much as women, then this is an extinct planet. But there is no reason for that to occur, because you have the New Millennial Golden Rule, you have the kitties kits, you have the telephone, and you can call me in, less than a minute. Are you hurting your mother? No, you'd be helping your mother. Your mother is precious creation of the Mother, Father, Goddess, God, too. Do you want her to cause her own extinction? Do you want her to have the heartbreak of something that happened to you that she could have prevented, but she was so mesmerized by television and a few old men that she works with that she can't think straight? Don't do that, any of you, okay? And ladies, now I'm going to direct this more toward you. I've been talking about you because you know why, ladies? Because you've been acting like you have no brains and no hearts. Now, you do have hearts. You do have brains. I know that for a fact. I've seen your websites. I've seen what you've done in your life before and what you're doing now. You're trying, but you're afraid to gather. You're afraid to let that bonobo aspect of you out because you've been burned. Some lady was nasty to you. This lady was nasty to you. Your mother was nasty to you. Your other cousin was nasty to you. Somebody was nasty to you. So you're afraid to come to a circle. Don't be so afraid. Because I guarantee you, there's some little creep in ISIS or in North Korea who won't be afraid to push the button and destroy you all. While you're being so afraid to pick up a phone call and make a three-way call. Can I be more explicit? I hope I cannot. Now I'm just, that's very heavy, but we are at a heavy moment. I don't believe in denial. You have to hear this. You're living on a Titanic. It's sinking. You're going to save it. Your equinox true cues, we're at the very closing moments of the episode. You're going to have to, you want the next episodes to be gorgeous and happy? Then you're going to have to do the numerical golden rule. Okay? That's it. That's all I can say. Black and white. Very simple. Yes or no. Take yes. Okay, and here's the marvelous, miraculous cakes. And well, here's the marvelous, miraculous milk, and I did the ceremony. I did the ceremony like I always do. I represented you, and there is a message also on 11234523345. I should have said that right away. There is a message on 11234523345. And a new one for all of you. But you mothers, now I spoke to your kids. Why? Because you're endangering them. What if little Medea's children had been forewarned? The outcome might have been different. They might have been able to say, Mommy, you have internalized patriarchy. You have to deal with it. You need to gather with other women, Mommy. Mommy, gather with other women. What if her kids were able to say that to Medea? Then we wouldn't have that later version of her story in which there was a problem. It would have been a happy story. And you know, there's a recent film called Medea's Family Reunion. And it is about women's empowerment, and it is about a great grandmother and a clan mother. Now you have to start acting that way. Medea's Family Reunion. All right? Women have to gather. Turn off the television and gather. Turn off the movies and gather. Make your life the movie. Put yourself as the heroines of your movie. Make yourselves into goddesses. You have equinox true Q powers so easily. How easily can it be to pick up a phone and make a three-way call? You cannot have it easier. So if your mental blocks are so great that that doesn't allow you to do that, I double dare you, and I triple dare you, and I quadruple dare you, and quintuple dare you. Make a three-way call. Or else know that you're crippled beyond belief, and you might as well jump into the nearest wheelchair and say, oh, Heidi, please help me walk again. Okay, now I'm going to send this message, and here I'll show you the marvelous, miraculous elements of the ceremony, which we did. And I've already been going after those big kahuna guys in my own family and in the world. You're going to see that over the next few days, more and more and more. And I'll make it sure that you know that not only the men, but their most enabling Republican-esque idiot wives. No! What they are doing to their society by clinging to daddy to the point where they don't care if he's a dinosaur killing everybody. Okay, and here is the marvelous, miraculous milk. And here is the marvelous, miraculous heart light with the pictures connecting our families and all our great-grandmothers and all of our Shekinahs and traveling back and forth in time so we can open the stargates. In our thinking, we could do that. And just think about it if your own mother had parity. Think about it if your grandmothers had all had parity. Just think about it for 15 minutes. Give yourself 15 minutes to think about it. And make a phone call, three-way call. And here is the marvelous, miraculous, budding, blooming flowers. And here are the cakes with the roll gloves on them. Okay? And Donnie Aurora, please, and Mario Rainbow Sweetheart, and Donnie Aurora, please say hi and hug to Heather and Jam and Heather. On behalf of Whiskers and Tiger and Holly and Holly and Tiger and Whiskers and Buttermilk and Blackie and Blackie and Buttermilk and Felicity and Felix and all the flora and the fauna and the butterflies, the birdies and the bees and all the people too of our local, global, universal neighborhoods, past, present, future, as equinox true cues. Children and mothers, you are in a society that degrades you. This is just like what happened to Atlantis, and that was what caused the eruption of Mount Thera. Now, there's something else I need to tell you. Before lore, which is about folklore and the mythological lore, so it was perfect for her to tell, for us to hear that. But before lore came on the line, there was another lady who picked up, and her name so freaked me out that I didn't do the call with her, but I think I should have, and I think you should hear it. The name that she gave me as her name was Ashland. Ashland. Now, Jennifer Margulies, the daughter of the Lynn Margulies family, whose mothers and sisters have been ignoring this now for 3 years, lives in Ashland, right near the South Sister of Oregon, right near where Anne Marie and Ma Patricia are from. There could be a sudden volcanic eruption of the South Sister. You also can have potentially earthquakes in both the New York and Heartland region of Chicago area and Ohio. You are sitting on a scenario that is unspeakably, you are very unstable. These are the moments before an avalanche. You cannot live in denial. Put your, Red Cross uniform on and make it the White Cross, because you're going to save life with light. And that cross stands for the intersection of yin and yang as equals, the intersection of caring about one another as horizontally without hierarchy, and the verticality of your own dignity as a human being and your precious value to the Mother, Father, Goddess, God, whether you are female or male, and particularly to assist our females who appear not to know how precious they are. But some of our young men also may not know, because the world is loaded with these bullshit televisions. Please, if you haven't already turned off television, I don't know what to say to you. Turn it off completely. And when you look at the websites that you look at on the internet and all the advertisements, understand it's a lot of the same boardrooms putting the advertisements on and selecting the news that is allowed to be showed by major interlocked board people like Yahoo, which is interlocked with ABC, and all of them. The news that you're getting is not the truth. Just ignore it. The election is not real. There is no election going on. It's all pre-decided by the boardrooms. They manipulated in 2000. They knocked out Al Gore, even though he won, right? And of course, Al Gore made the terrible mistake of not knowing that that would have to happen if he wasn't bringing about gender balance. And Kerry did exactly the same mistake. He ran, he won, but it was knocked out because not bringing in gender balance is unethical. And therefore, once you do that unethicality, a even more unethical group takes you over and destroys you, just like the Tyrannosaurus Rex ate up the Triceratops. That's it. And then you all go extinct because dinosaurs cannot live with high technology. They may be able to lie with it, but they can't live with it. So I hope you understand this now. You have to start coming to these conference calls, or if you fear that, my phone number is 301-933-0272, my home phone. You can call me anytime, make a three-way call out of it, or I'll help you to make a three-way call out of it, and it will break you out of this gangplank walk that you're all on. You're too marvelous and miraculous, and you have too much great powers. You can learn to walk on water rather than go down a gangplank, okay? You have great powers. You're going to be able to thoroughly have solar abilities to fly soon. You have great powers. You just don't know what you have right sitting in front of you. But your technology gives you enormous powers, but your anthropology is primitive. It's chimpanzee instead of bonobo. We need to bonobo. We need to bonobo. And if the mother bonobos won't figure out how to do it, you young people start bonoboing. some of you young women, give me a call, or if you're a young man, you say, I really am upset, my mother's not doing this with you, call me, and we'll figure out the way to build you a circle of women, and then call your mom. It'll work. So I love you, and you call me 24/7, and I say huge hug, huge hug, huge hug, huge hug, huge hug. And also, I want to remind you, the conference line, I'm doing this on the phone tree, but there is a conference line. It's 773, 641-715-3580. And the access code on that is 773342. Don't forget that. That's a lifeline. We can get on that conference line at any time, 24 hours. It's always available. I do hold that open during the broadcast, right around when I start doing the kissings of the consciousness currencies and of your multi-branching family tree pictures. I go on the conference line, and I always do that at every broadcast. So you can come into that, and you can call me and say, are you on the conference line? Let's get on there. And that will, as soon as we get on there, that will take all the danger away. And you can listen. Those of you who are experiencing any kind of emotional upset or physical danger, you can call me from an emergency room. In fact, I have to tell you, I had some emergency room people on the broadcast today. I had them. They were on the broadcast. You can actually hear it if you listen to the broadcast. I had them on the broadcast. So you're setting yourselves up, all of you, for a very, very dangerous situation. But you can take the danger out very, very easily. In other words, all you have to do is break the glass ceiling and the glass hearts of your mother, the icy ways that your mothers are doing, because they're overwhelmed. They don't want to face what is true. Denial, it's overwhelming. They're scared. They're not used to it. They're trained to think of other men will take care of it. They're trained to think, I can't do it. They have learned helplessness. All women in this society now have some level of learned helplessness, but they can overcome that in a moment. Remember, just like in Heidi saying to Clara, you can walk, and you know what? She did. She walked. Okay, so they can make the three-way call to me, and you can help them to do so, and I can help them to do so. So don't be afraid to call me, and I say huge hugs. And ladies, I'm speaking to you just as much. I'm speaking to your children, because you've been acting like you're bypassing me and bypassing each other. I don't want to bypass you. I want to say, you are much more. Julianne Marie is a genius. Marion is a genius. Jennifer is a genius. Susan is a genius. Georgine is a genius. You all have goddess within you. You all have. Victoria is a genius. And I don't even know her, but I can take one look at her daughter and say that woman is a genius. You're all geniuses. Get on the phone and do some talking, and you'll save the world. And let your kids be proud of you. Let your kids be proud of you. I love you. Every blessing. God loves you much more than you could possibly know. And a lot of you you have mother wounds, and a lot of you weren't breastfed right, and it's very hard for you to feel that feeling of bondedness with another woman. But force yourself to do it, because you're at that point soon where this planet is going to go. I mean, bye-bye planet, because you did not make a three-way call. Every blessing. So let's not let that happen. You make the three-way calls. You be bonobos who know how to be goddesses. And your children will be as goddesses and gods, and we'll all be equinox Qs together. Every blessing.
Your greeting has been saved. To change extension type, press 1. To record extension name, press 2. To manage greetings, press 3. To hear messages recorded in this extension, press 4. To delete this extension, press 8. To return to the main menu, press 9. To change extension type, press 1. To record extension name, press 2. To manage greetings, press 3. To hear messages recorded in this extension, press 4. Thank you for calling 211 Lifeline. Please listen carefully as our options. You have reached 211 Mendocino County. If this is an emergency, hang up and dial 911. Está conectado con 211 Condado de Mendocino. Si esta llamada es una emergencia, cuelgue y marque el 911.
The other coast. I'm calling you from Maryland, and I do some kind of what you call a service to people who are on the 211 lines or the 311 lines, to anoint you in a sense as if you go to our website 5050now.wordpress.com, as the most civic-minded people in the world, and that is people representatives of that which will save our planet right now. It has to do with the empowerment of women. And women like you are much more powerful than you have been led to believe by television and by politicians. You're very, very powerful and very important. And we are gathering women and younger people who are equally important, females and males of my family, who are all interrelated on a family tree, at 5050now.wordpress.com. Do you have access to look at the web while I speak with you?
I don't have access to that.
All right. Well, when you go home, look at 5050now.wordpress.com. Do you have a computer at home?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. All right. Look at 5050now.wordpress.com. That's five circle now .wordpress.com. And you'll see our family. We have some illustrious people in our family already known that are quite famous. And they have to do with the Earth and also opening the stargates. We have very famous geobiologist on our family tree, and a very famous family that is the most famous family of the latter part of the 20th century and early into the 21st, concerning Stargate theory and the actual physics behind it. And what we have come to understand is that in order for us to make our planet survive and not destroy itself in war and waste and worry of what we're doing right now, and global warming particularly, is to have governments that are filled equally with women as well as men, and that also include all the generations and fully represent younger people who are generally shut out of decision making right now. And so if you go to the website, you'll see my family, and you'll see our pictures under the section among the representatives, you, and you, with about several thousand women and other youths from every continent in the world there. And you'll see our pictures, and we can include you. I've included many people who've asked me to on these lines that we call, we're giving the New Millennial Goal as a gift to every woman that we speak to, that you have gender parity, past, present, future, and the only reason you think you don't is that the television is misguiding you to believe that you don't. All you need to do is have a meeting in your local neighborhood and discuss your family and extended family in your local neighborhood with neighbors. Make sure you're following what they already have in India in every village, 50-50 in the group. I'm sorry?
Go ahead.
And then,
do you need any assistance?
Yes, I do, and I'll just tell you one more thing, and then we have the Genuine Progress Indicator, which we already use here in Maryland, and the state of Washington is also using the Genuine Progress Indicator, which counts unpaid work. And in other words, what you do you have any children?
I'm sorry?
You may have children.
Yes.
And what women are doing with their children, caring for them, under our old gross domestic product way, is not counted, but under the Genuine Progress Indicator, which we use officially in Maryland, and also now the state of Washington is using it officially. You can have all of the work that people do is counted. 2/3 of unpaid work is done by women. Another 1/3 is done by men. None of that is counted. It's the most important work in the world. It's the work that we do to take care of children and our family relationships and our communities. You know, and that's counted. So you can read about that on our website. And the third thing is that we gather as a circle. I'm gathering these people. I'm representing them. You might say I'm like a Statue of Liberty, holding up the torch for all of them and saying, we're gathering with you as a circle. And you can see our great and grandmothers' names. We start by telling people to think back in time. As Harry, Harriet, and Ray ran, as Harry, Harriet, who gathered women actually in their community, and Percival, Vision Rose, Grandma Marie, Grandma Popper, Dorothy, Lynn, and Rachel, and more. And our family, and then we also gather with our contemporary women who are like you, a mature woman. You sound like you're probably a little over. Are you in your late 30s? Okay, we are our group of older people, but we also include younger people. So we have women who are around age 38, 39, a little bit over. Gathered. That's Julia Marie and Victoria and Mariama and well, I really want to start with Marion. Marion is an important place. Marion, Julia Marie, Victoria, Georgine, Precious Antoinette. Excuse me, Susan, Jennifer, who's also on the West Coast near you, and Esther, who also lives in Washington, and we have some younger people who live in California, and all of our great and grandmothers, including some Native American women of European heritage also, who've been working with Anne-Marie and Ma Patricia and their family, including there's younger people there too. And we have some younger people, Hadaz, who's on the coast where I am. She lives in New York. There's with Marion and her mother, and there's Precious, and there's Stacy Anastasia and Rachel Marie and Danielle Juliette. And Soma and Rebecca and Sandra, Hillel and Ashira, they're actually in Israel with Susan, and Rebecca and Sandra on different parts. I think that Sandra is originally from California, and
What's her name?
Sandra. Their name is Zalkind or Zalman.
What's your name?
And my name is Dr. Rajel One Family, and I have declared on behalf of all humanity that according to the will of the creator of this planet, that the only government on earth that needs to be recognized is that which follows the new millennial golden rule, which you can read about at our website, and is very easy for people to do in any neighborhood.
Okay.
And so we have some specific areas. We realize that this is a little bit more difficult for Americans to grasp. Right now, the United States has dropped terribly in terms of representation for women because it's been confused by the media to think that gradual progress is acceptable or that all that women are capable of. Well, the reality is there's several billion people living under gender parity right now that our media does not want you to know about. There are all the villages of India by law, according to the Indian Constitution, are 50-50 female and male in decision making. That's about 500 million people that you were not told about. Then there's another about, probably 50 million people, maybe 100 million in Europe, who are at or near gender parity, especially in the Nordic countries and also in all the cities of France by law. Okay, and this was occurring all while our news media was keeping this information away from you and everybody. Okay, and so you know, we also have I need to mention the young men of our family. Did I say Vanessa? And then we also have Yishai and Harlan Luceviz, and Shai and Marcel and Ross. They have been working for democracy. They come from family traditions that work for democracies. And also, we want to ask about this balance of love and work. That's the other thing the media kept from everyone, that all of these countries in Europe and just about every country has major multi-month to multi-year family leave. In European countries, it's 2 to 3 years in a number of them and more. And we don't have any. You have a little bit in California. You have 6 weeks, correct?
Yeah. I mean, is there anything I can help you right now? I mean,
yes, you can help me by first of all telling me, did you know any of this?
No, I didn't. Now go ahead and take a look at the website. Because right now I'm actually at work, so I'm not able to Google or see any other information. All
right, you go look at the website and we'll put your name up there, and we'll include you and your great and grandmothers and your children.
No problem.
All right, all your youths of your family, the people who are age 37 and younger, and we also include these Native American young people. I should mention April and Edith, Rosa, and Angeline, Ben, Shannon, and John. Their mothers and grandmothers, very important. Patricia Sunflowers and Anna Marie Singing Cricket, who have done a great deal of this work. You'll hear and see quite a bit about from them on the website, and also their great and grandmothers, Rose, Marie, and Pearl, and more. We recognize all of your families, past, present, and future. And what you're going to find out when you read the website, Anna, and your name means grace, my dear, and you are a goddess, is that the longest survived civilization known to archaeologists was Atlantis. And for 3,000 years, they had no war and great happiness among all their citizenry, and the decision-making was balanced by gender. The women were fully in full presence.
Okay, no problem. I'll go ahead and look into it. Thank you.
I'm so glad, and bless you, and your name is a blessing to all of us. We bless all your family, and we take yours too.
Thank you.
Bless you, dear. Thank you so much. Okay. Okay, kiddies, that's the message with Anna. Now there's another message on 112-345-2345, and there's another message for your mothers on 335547. But I have to be honest with you, I morphed into talking to you, which was a mistake. On the message for your mothers, I morphed a little bit into talking to your next generation as the primary audience. Why? Because it's clear that your mothers are stuck. Your mother's generation is stuck. They keep wanting Hillary Clinton to carry the torch for them. Hillary Clinton is a lovely lady. I want her to have eternal life too. She can't do it with a boardroom full of old men. She'll have a dead planet just as much as any other man would. As a man would. Tokenism is not parity. Tell your mothers that Hillary Clinton is a shill. And why she allows herself to do what she's doing is probably for the same reasons that your mothers do. They didn't get enough breastfeeding, they didn't trust their mothers, and they don't know the difference between a government filled with daddies and a government filled with mommies and daddies. Now, Hillary Clinton is a lovely lady. She has a child and a grandchild who are related to us directly through the Marguerite line. They are endangered because you're not gathering. You are endangering little Charlotte, just as you're endangering each other, just as your mothers are endangering all of you. Now, I say that the best thing for you to do is stick that cell phone in front of your mothers and say, you gather with Rochelle. Her telephone number is 301-933-0272. You can call her on the conference line. The conference number is 641-715-3580, access code 773342. It's always available. You can start off the conference call. You don't have to wait for Rochelle. Get one of your girlfriends, woman friends. I won't say girlfriends. That's what's wrong with our culture. Get one of your women friends on the phone. Anyone that you know that you work with, call a 211 line or a 311 line or a 411 line even. And get someone on the phone and call Rochelle fast. Do a half second of bonoboing. It'll pick you out of your doldrums. You'll start getting moving on what you need to do in order to be equinox cues. Now, equinox cues, remember, they save the planet in the last 5 minutes of the episode. Remember that. It's never too late to do the right thing. I have told, and you'll hear on the 335547, I've told your mothers that some of you may be suicidal. I believe some of you are suicidal. I believe that some of the mothers who are not listening to this don't know what's going on, and their children are among the most suicidal. But I think your mothers, most of them are. Some of the mothers are not. Their kids are in real deep trouble, the ones who don't even know this is going on. I try to make it clear through the emails so that they all know it is going on. I think they all do know. But there's a few who might not know. You know, this is hard for me to make these circles all around with no cooperation, no assistance. So we're getting very close, quote, to the end of the episode. Do you want the next episode of Stargate and Star Trek to be a gorgeous and delightful episode? Or do you want the series to end? What do you want? All you have to do is call me. Pick up a phone. I'll turn it into a three-way call with your mothers and grandmothers, even if any of you started, young people. We'll turn it quickly into a phone call to your mothers and grandmothers and sister cousines and their generation. I won't just work with young people. The older women are important, and they cannot be overlooked. They have goddesshood that has been denied them. They've been turned into drones. They look at the ladies on these workplaces. Tell me, why is it they can't access an internet on a computer when they're sitting in front of the entire world? The entire world has information there, but they're not allowed to during their work hours. That's how they've been droned. That means their workplace cannot be creative. That means that they're not trusted by their employers. And why don't the employers trust them? Because they're so top down in their thinking, they don't trust human beings. Those women who work on the 211 line, I guarantee you, if they had access to the internet, they would not misuse it. They would learn from it. It would be just fine. These are not exactly, bad guys. They're working on a 211 line. Why should they be afraid of their having access to the internet? This is what our society has become. Top-down control like never before, and it's so straitjacketing that nobody can hardly think. That's what's happening to your mothers. So your mothers and your mother's generation. So you have to help them. Now, I hope I said all the names. I'll say them again. As Harriet, Harry, and Ray, Rainus, Harriet, Precious, Andrew, and Rose, Grandma Marie, Grandma Popper, Annette, Grandpa, and Raquel, and Lynn, and Rachel, and also Marion, and Julia Marie, and Victoria, and Barbara, and Cheryl, and Susan and Jennifer and Anne Marie and Patricia, of course, and their sister cousines Laura and Rose, Laura and Sophie and Martha and Paula, and also you should include their great grandmothers too, Pearl and Rose and Marie and all of, and there's more. We do include Diana and Donna. We include everybody. Do you understand? Even those people who don't seem to understand what I'm doing, I include them. I'm trying to save you all. You're in terrible danger. You're sitting on an avalanche about ready to occur. Don't let yourself be the first stone to get crushed, because that could start the avalanche. You're much more important than you know, young people. Each one of you. Each one of you in your circle is critically important to this planet. I mean that. You carry from with you a genealogy that is stellar, that is remarkable. So I love you, and know that you have this genealogy, and I've showed you the different epochs: Atlantis, the Galilee, Mount Sinai, the Galilee, Persia, Queen Esther's story, the Vedic India, France, around the time of Rebbetzin and Rashi and their daughters, 1500s in Romania, Hungary, which had a big flowering of gender balance and religious toleration, and when the rest of the Europeans were killing each other off, and under a mother and a son. Okay, now we don't, the mothers, this time it can't just be mothers and sons. It has to be mothers and daughters and mothers and sons, or it's not going to work. This time we have to be a little bit more advanced. So you know, you call me 24/7. I also say the names of, if I've left out any names, Marsha, include Marsha, and include, if I've forgotten anybody, you include them. Of course, Meredith. And I also want to say that we include all of you, Hadass and Rachel Marie and Danielle Juliet and Stacy Anastasia and Soma and Vanessa, my darling, and also because she's connected to my nephew, who I'll come to in just a moment, is equally important. All the young men are equally important, but I don't want to short shrift the young women's names. Halal and Ashura and Alisa and Rebecca and Sandra and Abby and Sarah, and there's Athena and Hesperus, and more. And I've left any of your names out. And of course, Anne Marie's and Ma Patricia's descendants. That's Angeline and April and Rosa and Edith. And then there's young men, of course, of our family, Harlan Liz Leviz and Yeshai and Harlan Liz Leviz, and Ross and Marcel and Ross, and also on Anne Marie's and Ma Patricia's family, there's Ben and Shannon and John. And now, you know, I made contact with Oprah Winfrey's family, and I'm pursuing that too. And there is some nieces and nephews on that family, Aquarius and Andre. And we have to remember that we're connected in our family tree. There were people of color at Sinai. Zipporah was a black woman. My sister's wife was black. And we have people of all heritages who are intertwined in our family story, who did great things for us. I have neighbors of all that, and I also include my neighbors and Julianne, Marie, and Louis, and Vanessa's neighbor. And did I say Victoria? If I forgot that mother, that's such an important mother. I really need to put her almost first. Julianne Marie, Marion, Victoria, and Julianne Marie. Marion and Victoria are particularly important. Julianne Marie and I, very important too, in terms of our young man. And that's how Elizabeth is. So, but all of you, no, I won't say particularly important. The circle is what's most important. The circle is what's most important. So, you know, you can call me 24/7. I'm at 301-933-0272. And you can call the conference line. It's always available. 641-715-3580, access code 773-342. Then there's also this phone tree, and you know you can leave a message here, but I wouldn't have required it. Earlier on, I would say that would be okay. better to just call me at my home at 301-933-0272. Assume I am here for you. Assume me, I'm an emergency worker. And by the way, we had several emergency workers on the conference today. They're doing emergency, and you have to understand our planet is an emergency. Did you ever see the movie Fail Safe? In Fail Safe, the last scene of the film is just before nuclear bombs go off. And it shows people doing every kind of everyday activity. It shows people in an office. It shows young people playing ball in the street. It shows people at a beauty shop. And then it shows the bomb going off. That's exactly what happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. They were all doing every kind of normal activity, and then the bomb went off. And nothing was ever the same. They were all burned terribly. Millions of people died. Or I guess it was hundreds of thousands then. But it could be millions now. Our bombs are much more powerful. And yes, we are by what we're doing, with our terrible governmental policies, we are creating crazies around the world that recognize our culture is completely out of control also, but don't see that they themselves are also. For the same reason, they're all patriarchal. And the women are disempowered. That's ISIS, and the name of a goddess became a terrorist organization. And that's North Korea. And that's us. And it could be also Pakistan and India. You're sitting on a powder keg as long as you pretend that what is going on in the media or your election process is normal. It is not acceptable in any way, shape, or form, and you would be doing Hillary Clinton a great big favor to say that we come before you as leaders because you're on the wrong paradigm and we want to help you to get to the right one. And I have called her organization, and I have told them and invited her, and I've called her sister, her daughter's mother-in-law, who is directly on our family tree. Of course, because I don't want her children to die, or her grandchild. She's a lovely lady. But American women have a weakness for patriarchy, or we wouldn't rank 94th in the world for representation for women. There is a weakness in this culture, and we have to face it, or we'll wind up with a Nagasaki or a Hiroshima, or much worse, or a China syndrome, Fukushima type China syndrome, meltdown of a nuclear power plant, or very possibly a Thera-like eruption of South Sister in Oregon, or a Comre Viejo that puts New York underwater. All of these things could happen if we continue what we're doing. And they will happen if we continue. I want to put it very clear. They will happen if we continue the business as usual of what we've been doing and don't switch to the millennial golden rule. They will happen. It's only a matter of time. So move on the new millennial golden rule quickly. Start getting on these conference calls. Help your mother. Put the milk in front of them. Tell them that you demand them to call me, and that you are not in the same level of denial that they are. You are a little bit less targeted to be stupidified. And even if your mother has stupidified you, and the men that you know have stupidified you, you're a little bit less targeted. That's why we see the suits. You know, there's several groups of young people who have been trying to sue. It's an absurd thing to do, but they've been trying to sue the federal government and the courts for global warming. But you know who's doing it? Young people. The older people couldn't even get their act together to do that much. So you have some importance, you young people. You can be great catalysts, and you can move your older people, just as during the Vietnam War. The older people eventually saw that there was something terribly corrupt about the government they were supporting in South Vietnam, and that the war was wrong. And it was all about business interests and other things that had nothing to do with what we thought it was for. Those older people were catalyzed to come to that understanding by younger people who did understand it first. And why was that? Because for the same reason, you're on the chopping block. In the 60s, the young men were being drafted. The young women knew they would be losing their boyfriends to have them killed. They didn't want it, and they started to protest, and they wouldn't. And they ran to Canada. They got as I did recently, they went away. So they couldn't be drafted. They hid. They went underground. Like Abby Hoffman from Chicago, they hid. So that it couldn't happen. Now, if you have to hide from your parents, hide from them. Go to some safe place. Come to me. You can come to me. You're all welcome to come stay with me. Each and every one of you is welcome to come stay with me. Because I'll reach back toward your mothers. I love your mothers. I love all women. And that's the truth. And you know that is the truth. And I know that they've been terribly hurt by patriarchy. And I also love all men. And almost all men have been terribly hurt by patriarchy. The only ones who seem to do better in it are the CEO bunch. And you know what? They're not going to do better. They're going to be as dead as the Tyrannosaurus Rex. They're not going to do better at all. So understand, and you know you call me 24/7, and let me show you all the usual beautiful things of our ceremony that I did today, of course, for you. But you see, you have to come to these ceremonies. My representing you is now worrying, and it's not enough. I know it's not enough, and God is telling me very clearly that we are at the end of the episode here. Either you start acting like Equinox Qs, or there is no next episode for the planet Earth, and we'll all say, oh, go watch the last scene and fail safe. Okay, let me show you. Here's some beautiful parts of the ceremony. Make sure that we can see it. Okay, now we're looking at it again. Here's the marvelous miraculous milk. Here's the marvelous miraculous balding blooming flowers and water. And here's the marvelous miraculous heart light with the pictures that connect all our families and remember our great grandmothers as if they had lived under parity and were gathering us and are gathering us and want to come through the stargates. Here is the marvelous miraculous cakes with the world globes on them. And so marvelous miraculous milk, marvelous miraculous budding wing flowers, marvelous miraculous heart light with pictures, marvelous miraculous cakes with world globes on them. And of course, I also say the names of, if I didn't say any of the names, you include them, you know them now, and they're all on the website now. Everybody, you know, they're looking at it. They're looking at it. They're seeing your names. And I already sent out, you know, millions of emails. People know. What is amazing is that you've not done a thing. And your mothers have sat on there knowing all of this. The lack of communication among women is like it's as so silent that it's loud. It's so silent that it's like it's like an explosion of silence. That's what it is. So you have to help them to start talking again. And I also say the names of the men in the family. They want to come to the stargates too. They don't want to see their planet and all their generations destroyed. What did all those generations of men do? What did all the work they did so that this generation could throw it away? When they could have had the entire universe and stargates opened? We can't be that stupid. None of you can be that stupid. I don't believe it. So you know you can call 24/7, and they have the number. I'm 301-933-0272, and the conference line, always available for any time, is 641-715-3580. Access code 773342. Did I say the names of the men and family? That's Julian, Alana, Will, Julian Lewis, Emma, and Oscar Bourne, the younger brothers as well as Justin, Carl, and more. And there's that we all have the kitty cats are here, and Donnie Rufflease and Mario Rainbow Sweetheart, and Donnie Rufflease. Say hi and hug to Heather and Jam and Heather. And on behalf of Whiskers and Tiger and Holly and Tiger and Whiskers and Buttermilk and Blocky and Buttermilk and Felicity and Felix and all the flow and the fawn, the furry friends of the pets, big white dogs, female and male, and all the people too of our local global universal neighborhoods. You're already Equinox QQ's Co-Secretary General's Co-Secretary. A lot of people are thinking of you that way, but what's happening is you're letting your mothers, and of course behind them, you have men in your family who are doing even worse, even stupider. Even that's the hegemonous hubris, that men don't even notice it, that there's no women there. They don't even notice it. Some of the women notice it, they kind of say, oh, I can't do anything about it. The men don't even, some of them don't even notice it. Or they say, it's supposed to be that way. Thump, thump. Trump, Trump. I'm the big Tyrannosaurus Rex. I'll take care of you, chomp, chomp. So, gotta understand. You understand where this is coming from. It's all patriarchy instead of parity, and we have to choose parity, past, present, future. For paradisal parity instead of patriarchal paradisal. And I gave the names of those kitty cats, so that's all said, and also fun. So I always say to Holland, Elizabeth, and Vanessa, you're Vanessa Salia, and Holland, Elizabeth is Wesley. But what are the names of the other young people on some of the episodes? There are some. There were some, and I think one is Marina, or there's different names, and there's a Jake, and there's different people, and that's you. That's you. You're all supposed to form your younger team. You are the next generation. Come join. You can do it. And put the cell phone in front of your mothers if they're not ready to do it, and say, look, I want you to come and call Mother Rochelle and be a clan mother. We need it. Be a bonobo that knows how to be goddesses. We need it. We need it. We need it now. We needed it yesterday. You can catch up. Don't feel guilty. Just do it. Okay? Okay, I love you, and you can call me 24/7. I say huge hugs, huge hugs, huge hugs, huge hugs, huge hugs. And again, there is a message on 112345, a new one. That's 112345 1234. Excuse me, 112345 2345 twice. That's 11 and then 2345 twice. And then your mothers have a new message on 335547, and you have this one. And I'll let them know too, because I think it's best that you start exchanging, and you know what you're being told, and you know what's going on here, and that we have all kinds of transparency. Because although I would prefer your mothers to co-lead this, frankly, they may need a push from you, just as the older people did in the 1960s. So don't be afraid to give them a gentle push. Put the milk in front of them and the cell phones and tell them to make the call. I love you, huge hugs, and I'll go ahead and send this message.
To save message, your greeting has been changed.